A killer earthquake hits Mexico. Mexico City is especially hard hit.
NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. That killer earthquake hit Mexico City this morning, and they're still counting the dead tonight. The exact number of casualties is difficult to determine. At last report, at least 250 people were confirmed dead. The death toll expected to go higher. Thousands more have been injured. Actually, the earthquake's epicenter was 250 miles southwest of Mexico City in the Pacific Ocean. It was 7.8 on the Richter scale, and as earthquakes go, that's big. It was felt as far away as South Texas. Apparently, damage was light along the Mexican coast, but when the shock waves reached Mexico City, the effect was devastating. 17 million people live there. Mexico City is the largest city in the world. Communications were down for much of the day. The airport was closed for a time, and George Lewis tonight describes the damage as it was recorded by Mexican television.
One reporter on the scene said it was as if the city had been bombed. By some accounts, 35% of the buildings in Mexico City were damaged. Much of the destruction was centered in the main commercial and tourist district. This hotel, the Regis, was flattened. Some bodies partially visible. The quake happened at the worst possible time, morning rush hour. Children were just arriving at this school. One witness said there were many trapped inside. All over the city, rescue workers began a frantic search for survivors beneath the rubble of the buildings. This man lost his wife but saved his daughter. I grabbed my little girl, he said. I tried to go towards the window. I couldn't get my wife. It was too late. The building exploded. There were explosions and fires throughout Mexico City, touched off by ruptured gas mains. Firemen had a difficult time keeping up with all the blazes. Amid the wreckage of this building, a no smoking sign in Spanish. Though rescue workers and ambulances were hampered by a lack of gasoline, the hospitals began to fill up with victims. Communications were totally disrupted by the earthquake. These were the downtown studios of Televisa, Mexico's main commercial network. A government channel that did manage to stay on the air broadcast phone numbers that people could call to leave messages for relatives, but few telephones were working. For a while, amateur radio operators transmitting on shortwave were the only link to the outside.
From Mr. Zamora from Mexico City.
Mexican President Miguel de la Madrid toured the devastated areas, declared a state of emergency in Mexico City, and put the armed forces on maximum alert. He told reporters the big priority right now is to rescue survivors and help them. The number of casualties is bound to be many hundreds as the rescue work continues this evening. George Lewis, NBC News.
George Hausner of the California Institute of Technology is an expert on earthquakes. As a matter of fact, when today's hit, he was running a conference on that subject in Washington, D.C. Professor Hausner, why was Mexico City so hard hit when it was 250 miles from the epicenter in Acapulco, which was relatively close? Damage was only very light.
Yes, the intensity of shaking at Mexico City was stronger than one would expect at that distance. But the city is founded on an old lake bed, which has very soft soil so that it behaves like a bowl of jelly. And so when the seismic waves shook the rock beneath the city, the jelly vibrated stronger than you would expect.
All right, we're going to look at a map that I think that you have there alongside of you and show everyone the relationship of the earthquake to Acapulco and Mexico City. That's a big fault out there in the Pacific Ocean, I gather. What, about 40 miles off the coast of Acapulco?
Yes, that's right. This is the fault that slipped, and Mexico City is about 250 miles away.
Can we expect some big aftershocks as a result of the 7.8 shaker?
Yes, normally we would expect 2 aftershocks of magnitude, maybe 6.5, and more numerous smaller aftershocks.
Is Mexico very well prepared for earthquakes? It gets a lot of them.
Yes, they do have many sizable earthquakes in Mexico, and the university there does have experts on earthquake engineering. They do research. The building code, however, is not as severe as it is in the United States.
Thank you, Professor Hausner. Today's killer quake raises once again the question of forecasting earthquakes. Our science correspondent Robert Bazell tells us tonight that today's quake was not entirely unexpected.
1,800 miles north of the epicenter, seismographs at the University of California were recording aftershocks from the Mexican earthquake all day today. This was the trace of the actual earthquake, measured here at 7.9 on the Richter scale, a major earthquake. But nowadays, researchers do more than measure the quakes after they occur. Scientists here at the University of California at Santa Cruz had predicted that a strong earthquake was likely to occur soon in the region where the quake struck this morning.
We knew that this was an area of very high earthquake potential for a very large and damaging earthquake.
Dr. McNally identified a region of the fault in Mexico which she concluded was overdue for an earthquake. She says the Mexican government was not able to act on her information.
The long-term efforts of earthquake planning and preparation are what are needed in order to respond to, say, a prediction or a statement of earthquake potential. And Mexico is working on that slowly, as much as their resources allow.
The techniques that were used to forecast the earthquake in Mexico are the same ones that have been used by scientists to predict that a strong earthquake is likely to occur soon in Southern California. Researchers have identified an area of the San Andreas Fault east of Los Angeles, which they believe is likely to cause an earthquake anytime in the next few years. The scientists hope that California will be prepared better than Mexico was today. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Santa Cruz, California.
Tonight in Mexico City, television reports say that many public services now have been restored, but long-distance telephone service still is not available. And although the airport is open, several airlines have canceled their flights. Also coming up on this program tonight, I'll be talking with a freed American hostage, the Reverend Benjamin Weir, about his days in captivity and the terrorist threat to execute hostages. And on Capitol Hill today, the issue was rock and roll. Is it art or pornography?
Look here, fast relief that takes the burn out of heartburn. Ask for Maalox Plus. Nothing works faster. That's because Maalox, America's #1 antacid for excess acid and heartburn, plus simethicone to relieve painful gas pressure, are now combined in great-tasting Maalox Plus. Tablets and liquid, any way you want it. Maalox Plus takes the burn out of heartburn. Try Maalox Plus.
Aetna, I'm glad I met you. With Aetna's Econoflex Universal Life Insurance, I'm covered for $100,000 for $1.12 a day.
And with Econoflex, my money starts earning tax-deferred interest at the current rate, no matter how high.
And when I can use a little extra cash, Econoflex actually lets me skip some premiums.
Econoflex Universal Life Insurance from Aetna.
Aetna, I'm glad I met you.
We asked 1,000 doctors if stranded on an island, which would they want? Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol, Advil, or Bayer? More doctors chose Bayer, nearly 2 to 1 over extra strength Tylenol. Bayer, the wonder drug that works wonders.
Stress and irregularity, they often go together. And when they do, Easy does it with Philips Lax Caps. For relief of irregularity caused by stress, Easy does it with Philips Lax Caps.
The Reverend Benjamin Weir said today that his captors in Lebanon warn that the 6 Americans that they are still holding will be executed if their demands are not met. Marvin Kalb reports tonight that he urged the administration to act.
After 16.5 months of captivity, 12 in solitary confinement, Reverend Weir urged the administration to make what he called a maximum creative effort to free the other hostages. Then he relayed the key demand of his captors, the release of 17 Muslim fundamentalists held by Kuwait for bombing the U.S. and French embassies there in late 1983.
They state that if there is not a positive response to their demand in the near future, they are prepared to kidnap other Americans, and that though they do not want to harm anyone, they will go so far as to proceed to execute their hostages if their demand is not met.
Weir spoke with a sense of mission and urgency, saying there's a new window of opportunity for the U.S. government to act now, but he feared the opportunity may not last long. He urged the administration to re-examine its policy in the Middle East, especially toward Israel. There are 6 other Americans being held hostage in Lebanon, but Weir spoke of only 4.
I saw each of the 4. I'm speaking now of Terry Anderson, David Jacobson, Thomas Sutherland, and Father Lawrence Martinjenko. I saw them on the day of my release.
Not seen were Peter Kilburn, a librarian at American University, and James Buckley, a U.S. government employee. Both, a White House official said, are believed to be alive. Weir met with the families of the 4 hostages he had seen and prayed with. He gave them letters.
He was with my brother, and that he delivered a letter from my brother to us. We would like to share with our family first, and we will get back to you.
At least we know that he's alive and well, and that his letter was freely written, and there was a lot of optimism in his letter.
Some family members expressed frustration and impatience, saying they're not being given enough information. The president said there's no other way.
Well, unfortunately, we can't tell even the family all the things that we are doing. So we just have to take that criticism, but it is not justified.
A senior official said the U.S. will not make concessions and will not pressure Kuwait. He also said the U.S. takes the captors' threats seriously and is pressing 5 diplomatic tracks to free the other hostages. But today, no break seems imminent. Marvin Kalb, NBC News, the State Department.
This afternoon, I talked with Reverend Weir, and I asked whether he managed to keep his temper during the 16.5 months that he was held captive. Didn't he get angry occasionally?
Well, I certainly was angry and felt the injustice of the situation. I don't think there was any time I really lost my temper with them, because I didn't think it was going to accomplish anything worthwhile.
Well, you're a man who's lived in the Middle East, in Lebanon particularly, for 32 years now. What were you able to say to what we presume to be the Shiite captors about the error of their ways if you thought that they were doing the wrong thing?
Well, I raised the question as to why they were engaged in kidnapping when they themselves said it was contrary to their own religious principles. And I raised the question with them, did they think that they were really doing right? They were rather apologetic of what they were doing, and felt that only because of the extreme urgency of their cause were they engaging in it, and that they really didn't intend to hurt anyone, and hoped that perhaps it would not be long before I would be released and there would be some more stable situation.
Reverend Weir, the White House is saying today that it will stand by its policy of not negotiating with terrorists. You passed along the demand of your captors that the administration put pressure on Kuwait to release those 17 Shiite prisoners, or, as your captors told you, they would take still more American hostages and they could not rule out executions. Now the administration is saying there will be no negotiations. Does that disappoint you?
It would disappoint me if it means there's going to be no attempt really to communicate and try to find out what the final demands are, or what might be worked out. Because, as I said, I think there may be right now a crack in the window of negotiation, and I would hope it would be followed up. It seems to me it's only reasonable to explore that.
In France, the embarrassing Greenpeace affair prompted President Mitterrand to take action today. He ordered a shakeup of the French Secret Service, which has been accused of sinking a Greenpeace anti-nuclear protest ship in New Zealand. Mitterrand indicated that the Secret Service withheld information on that bombing. Bolivia declared a state of siege today in an effort to end a 16-day-old general strike. Up to 600 people were arrested, including 150 labor activists. The government ordered tens of thousands of strikers back to work, but many defied the order. The strike was called to protest a wage freeze aimed at combating inflation of 14,000%. A newspaper in Thailand today reported the arrest of a tank commander accused of killing NBC newsmen Neil Davis and Bill Latch in that failed attempted military coup last week. It said another tank commander fled after the coup was crushed.
lunchtime. Everybody's in a hurry. If I'm going to get them back to work on time, I got to stay on my toes. And if there's one thing I don't want, it's a lot of caffeine. So Sanka's the only coffee on my coffee break. Now that's a good cup of coffee. And like I said, Sanka doesn't have all that caffeine. That way, I can give them fast service with a smile.
The coffee that lets you be your best. Sanka brand decaffeinated coffee.
Look how water can destroy unprotected wood, but not if it's protected with Thompson's Water Seal. Use Thompson's Water Seal waterproofer on dozens of surfaces. Brush on Thompson's for an invisible barrier that helps prevent water from entering and damaging brick, wood, and concrete. Your house isn't really protected until it's protected with Thompson's Water Seal. Many stores now have special values on Thompson's Water Seal.
Kellogg's Special K Breakfast. Low fat, less than 220 calories. Try it on. You'll like what you see.
The Senate today passed by a margin of more than 2-1 its controversial immigration bill. It includes a provision to allow 350,000 guest workers into this country, and Hispanic leaders immediately branded it the most damaging bill since the racial quotas of the 1920s. Under the guest worker program, Hispanics could come into this country for the working season. The bill now goes to the House, where there is strong opposition to the guest worker program. President Reagan lost the first round today in the fight over trade protection on Capitol Hill. A key House subcommittee easily passed a bill to restrict textile and clothing imports from the Far East. Like many other industries, America's textile manufacturers have been devastated by foreign imports, as have the towns that grew up around these textile mills. Kenley Jones tonight reports from one of them, Eastman, Georgia.
Learning a new trade. That's what amounts to learning a completely new trade.
More than 300 workers lost their jobs when Eastman's biggest employer, Reeves Brothers Textile Mill, shut down last March. Reeves Brothers is just one of numerous U.S. textile manufacturers which have fallen on hard times. Industry officials say the reason can be found in any department store on any main street, including Eastman's. Imported textiles and apparel from a wide variety of countries ranging from Bangladesh to Romania, made with cheap foreign labor. American-made goods simply can't compete when it comes to price, so demand for them goes down and textile jobs go down the drain.
Your main concern right now is trying to find employment.
Yes, sir. The only job Wilbur Cannon ever had was at Reeves Brothers. He worked there 35 years. At age 55, it won't be easy finding another job. But older workers aren't the only ones adversely affected by the shutdown. Danny Clements didn't want to leave Eastman and his young daughter Brandy after the mill shut down. But the only job he could find in town was as a laborer, making half of what he made before. So he moved to Atlanta, 120 miles away, to take a better-paying job on an aircraft assembly line. He comes home on weekends to visit Brandy, who lives with her grandparents. Clements and his wife are divorced.
Leaving my family behind, my daughter, and it's painful. But I haven't got no other choice at the time. Gonna miss me, really. I'm gonna miss you too.
Kenley Jones, NBC News, Eastman, Georgia.
On Wall Street today, stocks were up for the second day in a row.
Okay, sometimes it takes me a while to catch on. It was 3 years after the Surgeon General's report before I quit smoking. Well, now I'm hearing about new reports from the National Cancer Institute. They say a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. So I made some changes, like eating All Bran, the natural high-fiber cereal from Kellogg's. I figure this time, why wait 3 years?
Kellogg's All Bran. For more facts, call the National Cancer Institute, toll-free.
Your days go by fast. Your work never seems to end.
That's why Whirlpool washers and dryers are designed to make your world a little easier. They have a super wash cycle for the dirtiest dirt and a gentle cycle for your delicate knits. Whirlpool, quality appliances.
We're making your world a little easier. Whirlpool makes it easier for you.
When your life changes, your needs change right along with it. One day you'll need help with insurance. Later, it might be investments or real estate or any combination. Sears set up the Sears Financial Network Center to give you a broad range of help with Dean Witter Investments, Coldwell Banker Real Estate, and Allstate Insurance. So stop in. Chances are the expert help for your changing life is right at Sears. The Sears Financial Network. Trust us to make it work for you.
Health experts are saying tonight that the AIDS virus may be carried by up to 1 million Americans, and next year 12,000 of them will develop the disease. According to the Centers for Disease Control, by next year the number of people carrying this virus will have doubled in just 4 years. Has rock and roll finally gone too far? Well, a growing number of people think so, and today they took their case to a U.S. Senate hearing. Their complaint? That rock lyrics and videos are crossing the line into trash and smut. They want warning labels. A good many people in the music business, on the other hand, say that's a first step toward censorship. Tonight, we have borrowed the rock video form to demonstrate the dimensions of this controversy.
Good afternoon. You're with MTV Music Television in stereo.
A little faggot with an earring and a makeup.
But in all candor, I would tell you it's outrageous filth.
What damages our children and diminishes their future harms us all.
So we think there is a new explicitness in some of the lyrics and some of the rock videos. It's violence, it's explicit sex, sadomasochism is a theme that's emerged, and it's going to younger kids.
You can't shield someone from the language of the United States.
The teenagers are rough nowadays.
I brought along 2 videos, which I believe are representative of the kind of presentation which have caused the furor.
The video for We're Not Gonna Take It was simply meant to be a cartoon with human actors playing variations on the Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote theme.
We now propose one generic warning label to inform consumers in the marketplace about lyric content. Censorship implies restricting access or suppressing content. This proposal does neither.
The establishment of a rating system, voluntary or otherwise, opens the door to an endless parade of moral quality control programs based on things certain Christians don't like. How long before composers and performers are told to wear a festive little PMRC armband with their scarlet letter on it?
On future releases containing explicit lyrics, recording companies individually will include a packaging inscription that will state parental guidance, explicit lyrics.
If there's a rating on it, then the parents have the chance to see if they want the kids to watch it or not. So, I mean, it can't hurt.
I think maybe rating records is going too far. I don't know. That would be like rating books.
One reason the record industry opposes a rating system is that it would be almost impossible to keep up with the volume of new records that come out each year, 25,000 altogether, as compared with only 325 movies. Movies, of course, have a rating system. But if there were ratings for records, they would likely be voluntary. Congress has no plans for legislation at this time.
Maureen Stapleton for Fiber One cereal.
Hello. I'd like to talk to you about your breakfast and your health and new Fiber One. By now you've heard how important fiber is in your diet. That's where Fiber One comes in. Because no brand cereal has more fiber than Fiber One, or less sugar. And a high-fiber, low-fat diet may reduce the risk of some kinds of cancer. Fiber One, you can't beat it for fiber. It's healthy, it's smart, it's the one for me.
Move it back! Yeah, that stuff I'm wearing to protect you from almost anything. Except a headache. Do I get 'em? It's like a hunk of steel sitting on your head. It's a good thing Anderson is strong.
Anderson,
23% more medicine than regular pain relievers. Anacin stops pain fast.
More medicine. No more headache. I'm ready for a little overtime.
Anacin, more medicine.
I'm Bryant Gumbel. Tomorrow morning on Today, the latest details on the hostage release from Lebanon.
I'm Jane Pauley. We complete our series on secretaries with the woman who calls him boss.
That's tomorrow on Today.
Ever since Benihana introduced their frozen oriental entrees, people have been saying 8 is not enough. So we've introduced 4 more. Shrimp and lobster sauce, Szechuan beef, roast pork lo mein, roast pork with Chinese vegetables. Benihana's taken your favorite oriental restaurant food and put it where it belongs, at home.
More mail.
Benihana. We either make them great or we don't make them at all.
The artist named Christo keeps his best works under wraps, but not to hide them, of course. You see, Christo is the master of the art cover-up. He has wrapped islands in Florida, among other things, and now he's taking on Paris. As Jim Bitterman reports tonight, you take a bridge and 25 miles of nylon, and you've got Christo's art.
It's been sketched and painted, walked over and sailed under. But in all of its 400 years, the bridge they call here the Pont Neuf has never been wrapped up.
Anyway, well, I was thinking he would have the wire from here.
No one ever gave it a thought, really, until Christo came along. Christo Yavachev, that is, the Bulgarian-American who's in the walling and wrapping business, turning Floridian islands into pink fried eggs, for example, or fencing off California, all in the name of art. In 1976, Christo figured that it was the Pont Neuf which really needed wrapping next. And in the 9 short years needed to get all the proper permissions, he managed to raise the $2.25 million required to buy the wrapping cloth and hire the wrappers. Among them, hundreds of young people, outfitted in powder blue crystal smocks, and thought to be able to explain exactly what it is that the artist and his scores of mountain climbers, frogmen, carpenters, rope makers, and tree pruners are up to. Because, you see, not everyone knows how to react to a wrapped bridge. Some find it interesting, others confusing, and still others see the romance in it all. For if it might seem a bit crazy to do this, Christo has persuaded a lot of people to be a bit crazy with him.
I like to wrap the Pont Neuf. There is no any mystification. I will use fabric, I will use rope, and I will drape the structure. It will not like post-package. It will be really more draping the structure.
With other artists already making art out of Christo's art, one can barely wait to see the reaction when the last knot is finally put into place this weekend. Until then, Christo and his crew will be working night and day, day and night, ignoring the occasional derision from passing Parisians. This, after all, is one wrapper that can't be easily discarded. Jim Bitterman, NBC News, Paris.
That's Nightly News for Thursday. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Saturday on The Golden Girls, Dorothy invites her ex-husband to her daughter's wedding.
Tell the dirtbag he can come.
But she has second thoughts.
I never should have called him.
You never should have married him.
Then 227. It's too much fun and 2 times the surprises you won't want to miss.
Of course not.
With the outrageous Marla Gibbs. Saturday.
Let's all be there.
Up next on the scene at 6, Metro Police continue to investigate the sexual abuse of a 2-year-old girl. The operators of 2 Oriental food stores are arrested and charged with buying food stamps. American Airlines announces it's bringing a headquarters to Nashville. And we'll conclude our series Frontline Economy with a look at what business leaders say is the key to a successful local economy.
These stories and more news coming up next on The Scene at 6.
There are potato chips with wedges, with ridges, with crinkles, and many, many more. But I bet you've never seen a chip like this before. Introducing Russet Valley Potato Chips from Eagle Snacks. Made from russet baking potatoes so they cook up golden brown with a real baked potato taste.